Welcome everyone to the May 20th, 2024 board meeting. This time, call it to order and ask Commissioner Matt Nichol if he'll lead us in the pledge allegiance and invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for another wonderful day. Thank you for the many blessings that you bestow upon us each day. Please be with this board today as we conduct matters of business, and may you be the source of guidance for our meeting. In your name we pray.
Amen.
There you go.
All right, at this time, we'll consider any additions or deletions to the published agenda.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we approve the agenda as submitted.
Motion have been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. At this time, the chair would like to take a moment of privilege and invite up the leadership Harnett group to come up for a photo up front and recognize them for all the hard work they put into that program this year. Commissioners will come down front with everybody. Be sure to put Mr. Carroll's son slipped off his head.
Good, how are you?
All of y'all are fitting in the lens.
There you go.
There we go. Three, two, one. One more. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
What you supposed to do?
Validation.
I was in last year. He was in last year.
And I'm not like that.
I'll be busy with them on Wednesday.
All right, at this time, item number 4, the consent agenda.
Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. Okay, I have a long list here of folks who have signed up for the public comment period. If it is your intention to speak at the public hearing for the budget, you don't need to come up at this time. Now, having said that, is for those of you that are newcomers, there's a couple of rules here. You have 3 minutes to speak. It'll be the timer will be on the computer up here and on the TV screen. And personal attacks and profanity will not be tolerated. Okay? Other than that, I'll go down the list, and if your intention is to speak in the public hearing for the budget, just hold your ground and we'll get to that in a few minutes. All right, Johnny Adams. Doesn't look like he made it tonight. Okay, Kate Rector? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll get it right sooner or later.
Good evening, Commissioners and fellow community members. I am Kate Reichert at 6711 River Road, Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. Tonight marks a significant moment of public awareness and engagement as we come together to address pressing issues facing Harnett County schools. The primary concerns you will hear tonight revolve around high teacher attrition rates, challenges in teacher retention, and the unfortunate reality that our county has been rated as a low-performing school district for the past 2 years. At the Joint Board of Education and County Commissioners meeting last week, the Board of Education presented compelling data to support their request for a budget increase of $9.76 million over last year's budget. This request is not a mere wish, but a necessity, given the current crisis we face. Despite this, the Commission is currently offering only an additional $2.5 million. When we factor in the $5.7 million shortfall in the state low wealth funding and the $3 million lost to charter schools, the gap widens significantly, leaving our schools in a dire situation. The repercussions of this financial shortfall are severe. Teachers are leaving our district for higher paying opportunities elsewhere, and our efforts to recruit new teachers are suffering as a result. We have classrooms where children go the entire year without a certified teacher. This is unacceptable and unsustainable. Our teachers are the backbone of our education system, and without adequate funding, we cannot hope to retain or attract the quality educators our students deserve. We must provide for these professionals who shape the future of our children. Therefore, I urge you, the commissioners, to reconsider your budget proposal and provide the necessary revenue for our public schools. If you choose not to support this vital increase, then I ask you directly, what is your plan? How do you propose to address the teacher shortage and the educational needs of our children under the current budget conditions? Our community is here tonight because we care deeply about the future of our schools and our children. It is time to invest in them, ensuring that they have the resources and support they need to succeed. Thank you.
Mrs. Elizabeth Longman.
I'm going to speak very, very briefly. Well, not briefly, but what I wanted to say today was we need to do better about services being offered for mental health help in this county. My oldest son suffers from mental health challenges, and in this county, we received zero help. 2 days in Wake County, he has a psychiatrist, he has peer support, he has a plan for himself as a human being as he continues to navigate in this world. Within 48 hours, that was set up for him. Harnett County, we tried to talk with the Daymark services, and that's what everybody says. Good Hope is accessed by 80% of people not in this county. It's like they're here for someone else. They're not here for Harnett County. There is no serious effort to make sure that there are mental health services, whether it's the psychiatrists or the peer support or the supported housing for people with mental health. There is nothing in this county. As this county continues to grow, we have military families, not just the soldiers themselves, but their families who are dealing with these soldiers who may have PTSD, etc. There's nothing to help. Other counties have gotten it right, or at least have started on the path of getting it right. Well, I'm just asking if this county could establish a system with all the fentanyl, the very important fentanyl boards, drug whatever boards, to do something that will get help to the individual within hours. Within 48 hours or less, I saw help come for my son. 48 hours of leaving this county, he got help that he needs for the rest of his life. Harnett County can do the same.
Mr. Alan Longman.
My name is Alan Longman, 234 Hamilton Road, Bonlow. The reason I'm going to speak today is the problems that I hear are having in our school system. One, we have poor segregation in North Carolina in general of our school system. This county is one of the worst. it's not just a matter of racial, but also in the way in which money, how the handicapped people are treated here, special education. You need to put more money, you need to put more energy into having a higher class of education than you have. I believe that you break the law, both federal and state law. And you're trying to handle a money crisis, which you're going to be eventually brought to court over if you do not have standards which you don't show. You have people who are not qualified to do education, doing education. You have people who are not certified, doing education. You treat the people that support the educators by making them become bus drivers. You know, Hispanic woman particularly was taken aside, but she didn't understand. She made to take the test and made to become a bus driver, lose her job. I don't think any of this is legal. I'm very sure it's not. And I believe that the ways you're trying to handle the situation is just a Band-Aid repair. I think it's going to come down to the courts eventually. There's talk about this already in major newspapers in North Carolina. And I believe you need to do something about it. It's more permanent and not just a Band-Aid. Thank you.
Larry Mitchell.
I'll talk about the budget.
Okay, you want to wait till the budget? Okay, we'll start here beside you. Christine Young.
Leonie, I'll talk about some of budget.
Okay. Angela White.
Good evening. Angela Scarborough, 30 Farley Road, Cameron. I stand before you today as a vivid and stark reminder. I'm going to try to hold it together. Of the outcry against the unchecked power of Harnett County Sheriff's Office. Personal trauma inflicted by the Sheriff's Office and Harnett Health in 2019, and further by the Lillington Police Department in 2022. Punctuate my experience with the Harnett County court system today. You were all aware of this, and yet I was gaslit, while the real instigators evaded accountability. Although currently left fend to myself, rest assured I stand firm in my truth, a truth you are all acutely aware of. Each visit to the Harnett County Courthouse introduces me to more individuals who have felt the brunt of the Sheriff's Office ruthlessness. Today was no different. This is for all the teachers in here who care about children. Today was no different. A couple is being penalized for standing up for a 11-year-old girl, her sister, and who's being subjected to a 26-year-old soldier. Instead of charging the true perpetrator, they were charged. And they're being targeted now, painting an unshakable picture of systematic corruption. Your complacency alarms those of us who have compassion, morals, and integrity. And it wreaks havoc and causes irreversible damage to the Harnett County citizens. Your seeming apathy stands on display even as corruption persists unchecked within our Sheriff's Office. Today I stand before you hoping to jolt your sense of duty. Back to life. The current scenario is a screaming demand for an uprise against the frequent injustices the citizens face at the hands of the rogue elements of our Sheriff's Office, under the guidance of a corrupt sheriff. You are the chosen representatives, and yet decisive. Much needed action from your end remains painfully absent. Our democratic stronghold, North Carolina General Statutes 15-3A-76-1, resonates with a clear demand for your quick response against such violations of power. Are you, chosen ones, heeding this call? Any ounce of hesitation or negligence must be done away with. It's high time actions speak louder than your words. Remember, you share a mantle of accountability, just like as a teacher and a PTSD counselor. With great power comes great responsibility. And the sheriff holding control over our community's safety must be the epitome of the integrity and fairness, not a symbol of terror and oppression. I urge you to act immediately. Stand up to the corruption engulfing the Sheriff's Department and bring back some honor to this county. Now is your moment. It's time to act. The longer the silence, the inaction persists, the more corruption strengthens its hold. Rise above the complacency. Lift the veil of corruption, and most importantly, prioritize that safety of that 11-year-old girl from that 26-year-old soldier. Each second is precious and demands that you make it count. Exhibit your true power.
Ma'am, time's up. Thank you.
Thank you. Do what's right.
Mr. Jerry Rivas.
I intend to speak on the budget as well.
Okay.
Jerry Rivas. In the past, I don't know how many countless of times I have come up here and complained about the driving habits of our Harnett County Sheriff's deputies. I have called the Sheriff's Department on many, many occasions. I have basically been ignored, but you go out here on Highway 87 and it's like the Harnett County Grand Prix. And the deputies, they're running 70, 75 miles an hour, just like the rest of the idiots. Why don't they turn on their blue lights and slow down to 55 and see what effect that has? And somebody needs to explain to the deputies that STOP and a big round red sign means stop. Okay, quit running the stop signs. But, and I think about this term public service. And I become confused when I hear the word service. I think about the Internal Revenue Service, the U.S. Postal Service, civil service, federal, state, city, service, customer service. The word service confused me. But the other day I heard two farmers talking, and one of them said he had bought a bull to service his cows. Now it's in focus. Now I'm in light. Now I know what service is. Now I know what y'all been doing to us all these years. Even on patrol cars, it used to say to protect and serve. I guess that's how they service us. Do y'all feel enlightened now? Do y'all realize this is what and this Justice Center next door, they got a big medallion on the front of the building, Lady Justice. Justice is blind. She's wearing a blindfold. You know, maybe for a change in this corrupt county of ours, she could take the blindfold off and open her eyes. Back in February, I was threatened by a deputy, a sergeant on the sheriff's department, and nothing was done. The magistrate's office, the district attorney's office, they even brought in another judge from out of the county because God knows all of our judges are corrupt and crooked and they're in Wayne Coates' back pocket. And she just listened to his lawyer's motion and ruled against me. Didn't even give me a chance to say a word. There is no justice. I won't say the Pledge of Allegiance because of that lie that's in it. Liberty and justice for all. What a crock. What justice? I filed an appeal bond against the state of North Carolina one time. It cost me $4,000. There's justice if you got the money to pay for it. What justice? And what and service? I'm glad I finally figured out how you guys have been servicing me for the almost 35 years I've lived in this county.
Okay, Kate, I'm sorry, I can't make out the last name. Reichert? Yeah, but it's on down the list a little bit. But it's River Road Cokesbury, so it's, you signed, somebody must have signed you up. Joe
That's the
Langley.
budget.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to discuss an important matter concerning the nonprofit committee funding, item number 7 on the agenda, which will be coming up later tonight. I'd like to propose a couple of changes that I believe will significantly enhance its impact on the community. The Nonprofit Funding Committee plays a crucial role in supporting the nonprofits that contribute to the quality of life in Harnett County. Its purpose, as stated in the bylaws, is to ensure accountability and consistent processing for applying, reviewing, and approving financial requests from these organizations. The committee's work is vital, and today I would like to suggest 2 modifications that will further strengthen its effectiveness and maximize the benefits for Harnett County citizens and taxpayers. First of all, I propose that we prioritize nonprofits that have secured matching grants for their funding requests. By giving preference to organizations that have already demonstrated their ability to attract external funding, we can ensure that our county's resources are leveraged to their fullest potential. Matching grants also indicates a nonprofit's commitment and capability as well as the confidence that other donors have in their work. Prioritizing these nonprofits will not only enhance the impact of our funding, but also encourage more organizations to seek out matching grants, thus bringing additional resources into the county. Secondly, I recommend that we actively encourage local businesses and individuals to contribute to the committee's funds. Our community is filled with generous people and thriving businesses that have a vested interest in the well-being of our county. By fostering a culture of giving and actively promoting the opportunity to donate to the Nonprofit Funding Committee, we can expand the pool of resources available for distribution. This initiative would not only increase the financial support of our nonprofits, but also strengthen the bond between local business and individuals and charitable organizations. The concept that I'm talking about is not new. It's known as a public-private partnership. By adopting these measures, we can enhance the effectiveness of the Nonprofit Funding Committee, bring more resources into the community, and ultimately improve the quality of life for all citizens of Harnett County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mangum. Melinda Tyre.
Hey, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here in supporting the Harnett County Animal Shelter and hoping that y'all will consider hiring 2 attendants that are greatly needed for our shelter, because some of the ones that are the volunteers and all that are going off-site doing adoptions, which is awesome. If y'all don't look at the shelter on social media, and you need to look at it and see the videos that these girls do on the dogs, in which I think it actually helps for the adoption. But please consider finding it in your budget to get 2 extra attendants so the other ones can do the other things that needs to be done. Thank you.
Ms. McCrimmon?
Yes, I wanted to speak on the budget.
Okay. Looks like Hallie Peterson.
Yeah, I'm gonna speak for the budget as well.
Sherry Guzkat?
You just asked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak on the budget.
Okay. Amanda Salisbury?
So I am here to echo the sentiments of the woman who spoke before me. My name is Amanda, and my husband and I recently started an animal welfare, animal rescue group here in Harnett County because we understand that there is an extreme need for this help and these services. I would also like to ask you to reconsider adding 2 additional attendants to the budget. In addition to that, I'm not here to just ask you to do things that I am not willing to do myself. I'm here to volunteer to help at the shelter. We would love to team up with you to use our nonprofit that we've started in order to further the animal welfare issues that are facing our community. If there's anything that we can do to assist you, please count on us to do so. That's about it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Heather Byrd.
Hi, how are y'all doing? I'm sad we are still begging for the most basic need of our Harnett County Animal Shelter. It is still tiny, 32 pens, 32. It is still crumbling. The current staff and volunteers are still amazing. Your lack of support for adequate funding is heartbreaking. The shelter space and staff can't keep up with the insane growth this county is experiencing. So I'm just asking, please take the appropriate steps to fund the new positions, the new staff positions so desperately needed. Thank you.
All right, this time we'll close the public comment section and move to go into a public hearing for fiscal year 24-25 recommended budget. Is there a motion to go into public hearing? Okay. This time we'll open it up and open the floor up. A proposed budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 for the Harnett County, North Carolina was presented to the Harnett County Board of Commissioners on May 6, 2023, and proposed budget for the fiscal year July 1 of 2024 in Harnett County, North Carolina was presented to Harnett County Board of Commissioners on May 6, 2024. The proposed budget includes expenditures for the development incentives is available in the office of the clerk of the board, so I'm making our address here. This time, oh boy, everybody wants to speak, don't they? Okay, you're limited to 3 minutes. Nope, I'm sorry, that's right, wrong thing. You can speak as long as you want to.
You scared me there for a minute.
But the same rules apply.
I promise I don't have a PowerPoint this time.
Come back to order, please. The same rules apply. There will be no personal attacks and no profanity. Floor's yours, ma'am.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Marge Morton, and I live at 86 Gwendolyn Way. I'm here to advocate for crucial funding for our schools and animal shelter. First, I want to address the urgent need for additional funding for our schools. Harnett County is experiencing uncontrolled growth, bringing more families and children into our county. Last week, we heard that over the past couple of years, we've almost lost 100 teachers to neighboring counties, a large number of them due to our low supplemental pay. This exodus of veteran and experienced educators has had a profound impact on the quality of education our children are receiving, as we've seen in the school's performance scorecards. Teachers are the backbone of our education system, and when they leave for better paying positions elsewhere, our students suffer, our community suffers. The possible loss of the low wealth state allocations will make things even more dire, further reducing the funds available for our schools. The rapid growth in housing is not generating the property tax revenue needed to cover the cost of essential services, including education, infrastructure, and emergency services. On the contrary, it is putting us in a deeper fiscal hole, the full impact of which we have yet to see, leaving the rest of us to shoulder the tax burden. We lack substantial economic development that would help offset these costs, and without offering quality education, we cannot attract such economic development. We must attract impactful economic development to increase our tax revenue. The Triangle Business Journal reports almost monthly on Johnston and Lee counties attracting pharmaceutical and other industries. Why aren't they coming here? Additionally, we must advocate for our legislators to make impact fees legal again, to help pay for schools, infrastructure, and services. It is said that impact fees can aid economic development and growth. By having a source of funding for the capital requirements related to growth, it lessens the impact on taxpayers and resources and helps pave the way for community acceptance. Currently, developers are making millions of dollars while the tax burden falls largely on longtime residents of this county. This situation is unsustainable, and we need to ensure that smart growth benefits everyone in the community, not just developers. True story, a few months ago, I participated in a community input meeting for the comprehensive land use update. During the meeting, a hospital administrator mentioned that he had 120 doctor positions to fill, and he couldn't do it because candidates were unwilling to move to Harnett County because of the schools. True story. This example underscores the direct link between quality education and our ability to attract professionals and drive economic growth. Secondly, I want to highlight the critical need for additional staff at our animal shelter, and I think you've already heard a few of them. The shelter has experienced a significant rise in the number of abandoned and surrendered animals due to our community's growth and the unfortunate displacement of families caused by rising housing costs. This increase in animals also presents a safety issue for the community. The current staff is overwhelmed with a large number of animals coming into the shelter. The shelter urgently needs these 2 new attendant positions to manage the increasing number of animals in their care. Even when one staff is out sick, it creates a critical situation, making it nearly impossible for the team to keep up with daily responsibilities. Currently, as I understand, 1 attendant already out on leave, the shelter is short-staffed. Although a few volunteers help exercise the dogs when they can, their availability is not always consistent. To be, it's reasonable to think. When they are unable to assist, the staff lacks the time to ensure the dogs get the exercise and playtime they need to maintain their well-being and stress levels down. When the dogs are stressed and not given the exercise and dedication, many of them have become unadoptable. And as we've seen many times for those that are in the circle of the Friends of the Animal Shelter, they have to be euthanized. In conclusion, supporting our schools and animal shelter is essential for the well-being and growth for all of us, for our community. Adequate funding for our schools guarantees that our children receive the quality education they deserve and help us retain and attract talented educators. Guys, these children are our future leaders, workforce, and going to be part of our work community. Providing support for our schools is absolutely vital. And also for the animal shelter, it ensures that abandoned and surrendered animals receive the proper care, maintaining a safe and healthy environment to everyone. I urge you to prioritize these needs in your budget process to ensure a brighter future for all residents of the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Marge. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Rebecca Brock. I'm at 5220 Christian Light Road. And at the previous May 6th Board of Commissioners meeting, I urged your acceptance of the proposed budget. Your recommended allotment gave the school system $2.5 million. However, that statement was made before I heard about the $8.7 million shortfall made up of the low wealth loss as well as the supplement, the supplanted funds loss, totaling $8.7 million. And that was before I heard that the school board made a serious request of $9.76 million to turn our low-performing school district around. So if you're allotting 2.5 out of 9.76, and you're already short $8.7 million. That puts you $16 million in an educational budget shortage, which does include around $900,000 for private school vouchers. I am now asking that you all consider cushioning some of this financial shortfall that's facing the school system, else the students and staff are going to suffer. The Harnett Commissioners, the school board members, and our own county citizens have long kicked this education can down the road, hoping that it'll miraculously just get better all on its own. But our schools, our staff, and our students and teachers are suffering from those past, very comfortable decisions. So I would urge that you, and you 5 alone, Look at the options available to you to increase your proposed budget allotment to the schools so that education in Harnett County can be called, once again, great. Thank you.
Thank you. I am Marquita McCrimmon, 55 Sandy Tingen Court, Broadway, North Carolina. Thank you, Rebecca and Marge, and I will not go back and reflect on what they just spoke on. I would actually address the nonprofit board that you all have in your budget. I'm pleased that you all decided to bring that board back. I think it really benefits the citizens here in Harnett County. I do have some concerns on the tendency to fund nonprofits without the board being enacted. I do believe there is one particular item that's on there concerning the Boys and Girls Club. I believe that in fairness to all of the nonprofits here in Harnett County, I believe that we should ensure that it's fair and transparency concerning all of the nonprofits, to where it appeared to me that you have already agreed, if the budget is passed, to fund the Boys and Girls Club, which I think is a great program. But where does that leave the other nonprofits? Do they compete against the funding that you all have set aside for the county? I think in fairness, I think we should wait before we fund any more nonprofits until the board is established here in the county. Thank you.
For the record, Elizabeth Longman. Here we are again, budget time. The sheriff's office told you he was putting cameras in cars. Bob and Patricia Finch are dead with a quote-unquote money spent on cameras in patrol cars. They went and found someone who didn't even know he was part of some pursuit or anything, and blamed him for it because there was no camera footage. This man stood here and lied to y'all. Mr. Dawson up here at Capitol Hill Road is dead, shot in cold blood. They said he had a gun. Pictures from the scene show he had a cell phone in his hand. Not a cell phone, but a house phone, cordless house phone in his hand. If there was a camera working on any of the deputies' cars, we would know why this man who would deliver medication to the people who could not make it to the pharmacy, why he was shot dead in cold blood by the sheriff's department. The drug mill of a jailhouse, still exists today. Mr. Wayne Coates took those cameras or ordered them taken down. We couldn't even have recordings of cameras in the hallway. Many have said the reason Wayne Coates is still there is because too many people are making money off of him. He is the drug lord in Harnett County. You guys have a fiduciary responsibility to stop handing this man money without accountability. There is zero accountability from the sheriff's department. Zero, zero, zero. Even the dog pound has a camera going on with a dog being shown somewhere. There is nothing, no accountability from the sheriff's department. My husband and I personally experienced the sheriff people planting evidence. In a situation that was already bad, don't get me wrong, but they came and they plant evidence in cases. We are just more active than most. How many people out there are now condemned through the lies of deputies not held accountable? You have a fiduciary responsibility to require that office to be accountable for the dollars he's using to destroy the lives of people in Harnett County. I have drug airdrops in my neighborhood. They drop them out of the sky. We have video footage. We have taken it to the sheriff, whoever he has in his drug department. We have shown these videos. That man has no interest in reducing the fentanyl around here. He wants to go charge people by death by distribution. That's what he wants, but he is not in jail for the death of Eric Griffith. It's his department that distributed the drugs that killed Eric Griffith. But you guys have not held him accountable for the man, Mr. Charles, who was murdered in his cell. And they sent the murderer home. If it was not for the FBI calling him back and holding him accountable for the murder he committed, Wayne Coates sent the murderer of Mr. Searles home, sent him home. You guys are in a position to demand that this man is held accountable for the workings of his department. No other department in the Harnett County administration has that kind of leeway. None. Not even social services that feeds children. Nothing. This man is destroying the lives of Harnett County citizens with a carte blanche from y'all. All he has to come here and say, hey, 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 and you hand him money to go and mess with the lives of Harnett County citizens while the drugs keep flowing, while the people keep getting killed by deputies. By deputies. No camera accountability. He gave you the mushy-mush about something on a car. Have you guys asked how many of those cameras are operational? Has he, in this budget report, has he submitted accountability for that money? And said, yes, we spent the cameras and we have this many operational? He's not giving you nothing. But said, go ahead and give me some more. White privilege. White privilege. If a black sheriff stood here and said, I'm not going to take your money, I'm going to do what I feel like with it, I'm not going to give you any account of it, and then I'm going to come and ask you for more, you guys would have strung him up a long time ago. Had him investigated to the hilt, federal and state investigation. But this man takes the money of the taxpayer. You hand it to him and ask him nothing. Ask him nothing in terms of accountability. Not everybody is a millionaire. People in that jail, as heinous as they may be charged, are innocent until proven guilty. You do not know when the last time they were allowed to communicate with their loved ones. You don't know that because there's no accountability. You do not know how many times the ambulance has shown up there and for what reason. You don't know. There's no accountability. But you want to give him more money. What sense does that make? There is no economic development in this county. Nobody wants to work here. How many people of diverse backgrounds do you think want to walk or drive down Harnett County knowing what the sheriff's department is like? Don't you think people look at that? Don't you think they look at that when they think, oh, we want to bring our employees here? Don't you think they look at that? You guys want to go sit in an airport and hoping that a windfall will come flying in from the skies and park at the jetport. They're not coming because you kill them, you shoot them, you hurt them, and do nothing to protect the citizen. Nothing. You're in a position to hold him accountable. Don't give him a dime. Give him nothing. Let him find it out from his salary. Let him lose his drug money takings to go figure it out until he is willing to produce an account in pictures and words of what he did with the money. Don't let us keep getting slaughtered as Harnett County citizens. Don't let us keep getting incarcerated as Harnett County citizens for nothing. My son spent 4 years in jail
2.5 of those raincoats refused to produce him. He still earned a full salary every single month. He took home a full year's worth. There should have been a way. Most people have social workers in their jails. It's commonplace to have a social worker. Don't give that department anything. It is your fiduciary responsibility to ask for an account or have some way of systemically holding that department accountable.
Good evening. Richard Chapman, 5220 Christian Light Road. I'm going to skip around in my prepared remarks a little bit, so bear with me. I'm trying not to be repetitive. But first off, I want to issue some thanks. When the budget proposal was first released, I requested that a printout be made and made available to the public for their inspection, and it was, and I'm grateful for that. I got timely answers to basic questions from Ms. Honeycutt and Ms. McFadden, and I'm grateful for their kindness and responsiveness. Thanks, too, to Mr. Trout, who provided documents that weren't included in the printout, but were helpful to understanding it. These documents generated some thoughts about the budget process itself, but I'm not going to go into that tonight. I'll save that for another time and go directly to the 800-pound gorilla in the budget, which is schools. The school board asked for $9.7 million. The board's primary purpose, it says, is to raise the local supplement for teachers and boost salaries for classified staff to make Harnett more competitive for attracting and retaining talent. The county's response was $2.5 million. Where did $2.5 million come from? Why not $3.5 million or $5.5 million or $0.5 million? I've heard nothing or read nothing about how the $2.5 million number was reached or what real impact it'll have on our schools. All I know for sure is that there's a $7.2 million difference between what the school board says it needs and what the county commission apparently believes it needs. Who's right? Is the school board's request exorbitant, or is the county's response miserly? Either one party or the other isn't being especially upfront about their situations, or both boards are disastrously out of touch with the other, and that's not good. You don't have to go very far in this county to find teachers who say they struggle, feel unappreciated, or worse, feel intimidated from speaking out. You also don't have to go very far to find evidence of the state legislature's dismal history of starving public education. All those legislators who championed cuts failed to point out that when the state pays less, counties have to pay more. The fact is also that schools in Harnett are overcrowded, in dire need of upgrade and repair, earning horrible ratings for academic achievement, bleeding mid-level and experienced teachers and staff, and flat out losing the battle for talent to Wake, Johnston, and Cumberland counties. On top of this comes the low-wealth supplemental funding formula, which asserts that Harnett isn't the low-wealth county it thinks it is and should get $5.7 million less for its schools because locals aren't ponying up as they should. The superintendent says he's pursuing some kind of legislative sleight of hand in which the state defers the cuts for a year or two. So far, though, that's all talk and a lot of finger pointing. The county's position, as I understand it, is that the $2.5 million bump it gave to the schools is generous, and that what really matters is revenue neutrality, staying at that magic 59.1 cents per $100 of assessed property value. And the schools should just be happy with their $2.5 million and go find some fat to cut. The school board, as I understand it, seems to take the position that Harnett is in a fierce hiring war with its neighbors. Population growth is a hungry wolf knocking on the schoolhouse door. And if the state won't come through, Harnett taxpayers will have to. How in the world are we supposed to decide who's right? Nobody wants more taxes, but nobody wants crummy schools either. Shouldn't we at least be talking about a lifeline to local education? I can't tell you how disappointed I was at the May 14th Joint School Board County Commission meeting to hear absolutely no discussion about any of this. A couple of limp assertions from a few school board members, but no dire predictions or new ideas. From the county's part, there wasn't a peep, not a question, not a statement, not a challenge, nothing. Wasn't that the time to air ideas, voice concerns, reiterate positions, something? Which brings us back to the budget and what this taxpayer thinks ought to be done. Two things. First, acknowledge that the answer to this mess is not revenue neutrality. Second, get Aaron Fleming and his CFO up to this microphone and stand here for as many hours as it takes to reach an agreement on a budget number for schools that is somewhere between $0 and $9.7 million. Not behind closed doors, not over the phone, not by internet, here in public. In the end, the question at hand is not what we can afford, it's what we have to afford to get what we owe Harnett County residents and their families. Great schools, not good schools, not okay schools, great schools. I think we can do it, but we have to talk about it. We have to be honest about it, and we have to try. Thank you.
Jerry Rivas. I applaud the gentleman and his prepared statement. I'm a big proponent of extemporaneous speaking. I never know what I'm going to say. Sometimes I think about it when I'm riding a motorcycle up here. I just want to say that your rule against no profanity really hinders my descriptive powers of people. Because sometimes, I don't know what the difference is between obscenity, profanity, but it seems to me a lot of it's information. It's public information. And if I call an elected official a bleeping idiot, that just adds emphasis to how stupid I feel the person is. Anyway, I notice on here, in your divine generosity, the budget invests in the county workforce through employment compensation, 3% cost of living adjustment, and up to 1.5% merit pay increase. Do y'all not know that this senile old fool in the White House has produced almost 10% inflation a year ever since he's been in office, and you're going to give 3%? Have you people not gone to the blasted grocery store lately? I can remember when Walmart sold a box of drink mixes for 94 cents. It's now $2.14. That's like 140% inflation. We've seen a 50% increase in the cost of gasoline since this idiot's been in office. At 3%? That's it. That's how little you think of the people who are out there mowing grass, doing work by the side of the road, doing physical labor. That's how little their efforts mean to you folks. And public safety, $53,701,834. I would like to know how much of that was allocated for body cameras and dash cameras. Can anybody please answer me that? I've gotten a lot of smart aleck answers from you before. Can you answer that? Nothing to say. Okay. No surprises there. It was a couple of months ago when I addressed this board that I had called Many of the counties in North Carolina, there's 100 counties, many of them, the majority of these counties are utilizing body and dash cameras. The municipalities within those counties are utilizing body and dash cameras. What possible excuse can Wayne Coates come up with for not wanting irrefutable eyewitness testimony to what happened? The only thing he's ever told me was that a body camera can get knocked askew. I want to see what led up to the askewing. Is that too much to ask? How come there was not a dash camera in Deputy Kevin Letart's Ford Explorer SUV when he killed Pat and Brian Finch? He said, oh, I have my lights and sirens on. Eyewitnesses said, no, there were no lights. And he went, whoop, blipped his siren right before he ran through the intersection, run the red light at 95 miles an hour. How much money was in this budget for driver education for these deputies? I mean, we're getting these ding-dong dipsticks out of the academy, and they're 21 years old. They're used to driving mom and dad's 1997 Honda Accord, and we're putting them in a Hemi Charger. I have raced motorcycles for over 30 years, raced dirt track stock cars, raced stock cars on asphalt. You don't just get in a high-performance vehicle and lay your foot to the gas pedal. It don't work like that. It takes many, many hours of practice and training. I have taken courses in anti-terrorist driving. Taken a lot of courses through the government that I'm not at liberty to talk about. But, when is Harnett County going to come into the 21st century? Now, I have asked you people before to deny the Sheriff's Department budget. You have told me you don't control the Sheriff's Department. Yes, you do. You control the purse strings. You can make a stand. You can stand up to this bully and say, we will not approve your budget until there's $2.5 million in here for body cameras and a mainframe to store this footage. Why not? Why not? He told you, Commissioner Nichols, that his department's not going to be run by a committee. By God, you five have the power to mandate that he use body cameras. The mantra that all these cops, as they're beating the crap out of people, they say, oh, it's for officer safety. It's for officer safety. It's for officer safety. Isn't a body camera for officer safety? What about the safety of the citizens of Harnett County? Come on, you guys, you got to quit falling for his, for the service that he's providing us. Remember what service is? Guess what? He's the bull. Y'all are the cows. That's all.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's my pleasure to be here before you once again to talk to you about some concerns I have for our beloved Harnett County Animal Services. My name is Christine Leone. I'm known in the community as Toby Leone. I live at 1306 Rollins Mill Road. Bloomberg, September 11th, 2023. Harnett County is cited as one of the top 10 rural counties that have seen population increases surge more than 40% over the past 3 years. Again, the source is Bloomberg, and it was September 11th, 2023. I have been informed that our county has decided to not approve the 2 new shelter attendant positions that Harnett County Animal Services has requested in the new budget proposal. I am aware the county has agreed to support to hire a new animal control officer, ACO, and provide a new truck for animal services. Although I am very grateful for a new ACO being approved and a new truck, the shelter also desperately needs the 2 new shelter attendant positions. How can I speak to this? I can speak to this need. As many of you know, I have helped the shelter for over 13 years and have been integral in helping to reform the shelter and also help provide resources for the shelter. I work daily with shelter services to help them place animals in rescues or network for adopters. I know their demands as I talk to them sometimes 10 times a day to discuss animals in urgent need for possible rescue or discussing how to help them open kennels when the shelter is at capacity, which honestly has been almost nonstop. Our county has seen voluminous growth with no end in sight. And right now, we are seeing a record number of strays and owner surrenders. The shelter attendants are vital to daily shelter operations. And right now, I see many days, if not weeks, where the staff is understaffed and the volume of animals is putting the shelter at capacity. These attendants are the heartbeat of shelter operations, cleaning, feeding, and caring for all the animals on top of working adoptions, phone calls, many which are not answered because they don't have the time to answer the phone, and needing and providing testing of temperaments and health status of every animal that enters the shelter. Their responsibility is great, and I fear not sustainable with the volume of animals entering the shelter every day. It is only logical if you hire a new ACO, animal control officer, that individual is going to bring more animals into the shelter. And by the way, there are only 32 dog kennels for all of Harnett County. Sometimes those kennels have 8 dogs in them when a mom and puppies come in, or someone comes and drops a litter, or decides to tie an entire litter to the shelter gates because they don't want to be put on a list to surrender an animal because there's no space at the shelter. So the ACO, the new ACO, has the ability to bring more animals, but there's no balance as to who is going to care for all these animals and meet their needs. One full-time shelter attendant now is on medical leave for 3 months. So we're down, and I say we're because I feel like I'm part of the shelter at this point. We're down 1 FTE as a shelter attendant. There have been days I've talked to Larry Smith and Sam Powelson at the shelter, and they've informed me there's 1 person as a shelter attendant available to care for sometimes 80 to 100 animals that are sitting in animal services. Please, I ask you to reconsider the county not approving these 2 positions and see the need to create these positions as our shelter is at record numbers for intake, strays, and owner surrenders. If we remain short-staffed, I suspect a lot of the needed and current progress, and there has been progress, thanks to your support, will go in reverse. And there is just not enough staff to do all they are doing to make our shelter a safe and compassionate place for all animals who enter, and also to continue to integrate themselves into our community with off-site adoption events that have definitely helped increase adoptions. This is not if we should support these positions. You have to. They're drowning there. And I know this because I talk to them every day. I'm also a contact for many in our community because they can't get through to the shelter, and they know at some point I will be able to personally talk to shelter staff when they're not able to answer the phone or take a call, or they report and one of many animals that's dumped every day in Harnett County or injured on the side of the road. I respectfully ask you to please approve these 2 shelter attendant positions. Thank you for your time, and it's always an honor to speak before all of you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm also going to be speaking a little bit about the urgent need of more shelter attendants at the animal shelter. My name is Hallie Peterson, and I'm a volunteer at the shelter. I moved to the area last summer, and I've been an active volunteer for about 8 months now. The improvement I'm seeing in just these 8 months is very drastic. With that being said, there's also been major growth in the county. Each and every week, the shelter continues to be nearing or being at capacity. We need more shelter staff to have the most successful outcomes. The shelter has done such an amazing job promoting our animals more and participating in off-site adoption events. Not only do these get us more involved in the community, but they also find more animals homes. I love helping at the adoption events. It is my favorite thing and is what drew me to volunteer at the shelter. Unfortunately, I've been told multiple times that we cannot do certain adoption events because we do not have the staff to attend. We usually are only able to have 2, sometimes only 1 staff member at off-site adoption events because all of the others are needed to be working at the shelter. Luckily, we have some volunteers that are able to help out at the events. Without volunteers, we would not be able to bring nearly as many animals to these events and sometimes aren't even able to attend. It puts a lot of pressure on volunteers to be able to attend these events because if they don't, the shelter may not be able to go to these events. We need more shelter attendants to keep promoting our animals off-site. Not only do we get involved with the community, but the shelter pets also get to spend some time out of the shelter and decompress. Another issue, during open adoption hours, instead of solely spending my time with the shelter animals, my main goal when I go to volunteer, I'm instead helping the public and directing people because the shelter attendants are so short-staffed, already helping others. More often than not, we only have 2 shelter attendants working during these open adoption hours. This makes it incredibly hard to get anything done. We need more shelter attendants. Everyone gets sick, needs a vacation, has doctor visits, has a child care emergency, etc. Without more shelter attendants, our current staff will continue to be overworked and burnt out on their career. I've already seen the current staff deteriorate in the time I've been at the shelter. It is hard to continue to love what you do when you are stretched so thin. We need proper staff. If the current staff continues to work under these conditions, it will start to affect the cleanliness and quality of life for these shelter animals, which is the last thing that you want. One of the main goals of an animal shelter should be to find the animals loving homes. Without the proper staff, we can't accomplish this. We need your help to continue this mission. Think of all the animals that could be saved with your help. I greatly appreciate your time and consideration. Thanks.
Hello. My name is Gwen Glotness. I've been in animal rescue and I've worked at several large and small animal shelters for the past 40 years. I also served 2 terms as a Frisco Town Council member and pro mayor tem. So I am aware of how things work politically and in the shelter world. The last time I was here, I was speaking to you, I was begging for funding to support a spay-neuter program here in our county. I gave each of you a booklet with our county animal intake numbers and expressed the urgency of funding for these programs. I know that some funds have been allocated for that need, but I also just want to stress really quick that it is an ongoing need and it's increasing as well, and would ask that to be an annual expense for your consideration as well. Since then, the number of intake animals has doubled since I was here last time. The number of animals in North Carolina and actually nationwide being put down for space in shelters and because they are surrendered, which are the first to go, or they're old, is higher and higher every day. We're here again to ask the commissioners, you, to look at the budget. Is the new budget adequately considering the precipitous growth in Harnett County? Any way you look at it, the more people, the more animals are going to be coming in. No matter what, people have animals. We also want to invite you to spend some time at the shelter. Come spend an afternoon volunteering, an hour volunteering. You would see what we're all asking for tonight, and there would be no question in your minds as to whether it was needed. That's my opinion, but I'm sure you would see that as well. The current employees at the shelter are responsible for the care of all the animals, feeding, the medicines, constant cleaning, and I'm talking constant cleaning. Dogs go to the bathroom 10, 15 times a day. They are cleaning constantly. They're on the phones. They're trying to get rescues. They're walking the dogs if they can even get them out once a week. They're attending to customers, they're doing laundry, they're doing intakes, testing, adoptions, shots, stocking, social media, contacting any possible rescues, spay or neuter appointments, medical emergencies, many, many, many more things. It's impossible for two people to do this every day. It's impossible. I've been there several times and have seen it. And I encourage you, maybe you should check it out. We need help. We can't continue to do what is needed at the shelter with the amount of people. We just can't. I encourage you to please approve the 2 new shelter positions as soon as possible. We're drowning, folks. Rescues and shelters in this country are drowning right now. It's hard. It's hard work. And like the gal who just spoke, these people need to be appreciated for what they're doing. It's one of the hardest jobs I've ever had is working at a shelter. And when you work at a shelter, like a huge shelter, like the Denver shelter, you see a lot of bad and a lot of good. So I'd like to continue doing good for our shelter. We'll also be needing a new shelter at some point, and I know you've already discussed this and it's under discussion, but now a couple more people at our shelter would certainly make a huge difference. With the growth in the county, there should be enough funding somewhere to fund this and make this happen. I thank you for your time tonight. I really appreciate it.
Public speaking, not my thing, but I'm here today to also speak with you about a topic you might be tired of hearing about it, but it's really important that you see different viewpoints on this matter. I'm a resident and business owner in Lillington, and part of my job is finding forever homes for people, but I've also, over the years, found forever homes for hundreds of animals. I'm getting older now. It's getting harder. It's harder to find good help to support the need, but what we're asking, again, we're just submitting a plea for your reconsideration of the county's decision against the approval of the 2 new shelter attendants. Harnett County takes great pride in the growth of the area. It's a beautiful town. It's drawing a lot of attention. The infrastructure needs some tightening up, but so far we've got, so much development. We got the new courthouse, new library, new parks, recreational areas, improvements to roads and bridges. Partially, I believe that due to correct issues exacerbated by the change of flow due to the amount of homes and roads and impervious areas. But anyways, back to the main thing. We're very grateful for all that you've done to improve Harnett County, but the things that have been affected in our county is wildlife and the limited amount of resources and advocacy for pets and animals in the area. Every household has approximately 3 to 4 pets. I myself, not by choice, but by need, have 3 dogs, 3 cats, all rescues, either found on the road, surrendered, people don't know what to do with them, so I have 6. There's a lot of abuse and backyard breeding that occurs that people just don't know about. And the only time you see it is kind of in the news when it gets really, really bad. Many animals in this county have been tortured, abused, killed, and buried in backyards. People who are just passing through have dogs. I've seen them running across the street going after their dogs. And they're just tourists or people driving through. The need's there. There's thousands of feral cats in the area. And while hundreds and maybe thousands of people are involved in local rescues, and they deserve so much credit, I will tell you, they're not getting enough credit, because whenever there's an issue, I've called, like Toby, she gets a lot of calls from me. Somehow, a blessing comes and we're able to save animals out there. But a lot of that is not seen. And so as far as the animal shelter itself, I myself have called, and they've done a fine job to a point, but it took, on an urgent call, 48 hours for a response. When I made a call, I have people call me and say, I can't get through, can you help me? Biggest thing, need manpower, need people there. I've been told they're just too busy, and they've told me themselves. I don't know if they tell you that, but they're trying, but they can't handle it all. So think of all the houses that are coming up. If 75% of these homes have 2 pets, can we even keep up? We build parks and recreational areas for families and people. Our animals are family too. And the request for 2 shelter assistance was denied. Was it feasible? There's a huge need for faster response. A huge need for education on the treatment and care of animals, the importance of spaying and neutering, and the discussion of things like backyard breeding. Things have to be brought, and that can tie into the schools. I mean, you need to have people educating even the kids nowadays, because kids have to learn to have love and compassion for animals, because it makes them a better person to do so. And I find that in this day and age, a lot of that has been taken away. We need a bigger, as I said, I didn't know there's a budget for the, and I'm trying to get involved more here, for a bigger and better shelter. That's possible. There's so much stuff now with today's technology. Drop-offs, I mean, surrenders, animals tied to the gates, that's not modern. We can improve that. We can make, Google can make it happen. It can have modern drop-off areas and climate control. There's no reason why we can't make this possible just by adding something to our budget or having, I don't know, is there a pet tax you can add? I don't know, because as many people who have children own pets. I think that's pretty much it, but I think also a lot of these volunteers and people on the street and neighbors and residents also try, when they don't get a response, to get involved in helping animals, causing trespassing issues. It can cause residents to get shot, hurt, killed. I mean, it's there, because I know myself, I've wanted to climb a few fences, and I guess I admit a few times I've had to push the envelope to help an animal. And this will also prevent somebody going to jail for something that was in their heart. So we're just playing for the reconsideration of this year's request, and I think I covered it all. And thank you for listening. And also, please give a hand to these volunteers, and you don't have to, but it'd be nice, you know, all these people here.
Hello, my name is Alan Longman. The reason I'm at the podium is that we're talking about the budget. Some of the liabilities you will have in the next 3 years, or you've had in the past 2, would cover for 2 people being sued, would cover for the solid waste cost that you have in your budget. If you had 10, 15 people being sued, cases that will be coming up in the future, you got almost the entire budget for the regional water. The point is, you have a lot of negligence and a lot of liabilities. I was trained by Mr. Bailiff, John Bailiff from IBM and his men years ago on how to initiate efficiencies in your company. And John Bailiff taught me many things. And the thing is, you have an inefficient, incredibly inefficient sheriff's department. You're losing millions on that. You're also very inefficient in your running of your Department of Education here, whole education system. What you do is, when you have bad managers, you get rid of them. You have bad superintendents, they need to go. And the point is, a lot of your problems are negligence. They're negligence. You have a lot of liabilities in the future people could bring up and have it that would be incredibly costly to you and would easily be brought into court. What I'd like to see is that there be an audit of the Sheriff's Department's money to find out if it was spent correctly and the money was spent for what it was supposed to be. I'd also like an audit done on your education system here, the Board of Education. You need to have accountability. You can't throw money at the problem because you don't know where the money's going yet. I have a feeling you're incredibly inefficient, and that money is lost in all different areas. And that is the least you have to do to owe the people in this county responsibility. You have to clean the site down to where you know what is and what is not, and how things work. And you have to start at that level before you can build up. You're building up on a very poor foundation. Foundation here is terrible. You need to build up on a strong one. In order to do that, you're going to have to do your job and sit down and find out what is wrong with the system. What is causing all the money to be problems? When you have liabilities as high as that and inefficiency, you have a lot of taxpayers' money going to nowhere. I'm worried about the people because I don't think people are going to be coming here if the education system is considered that poor and the world knows about it. Why would I bring my kids here? I'm an engineer. It's important for my kids to have an education and know what's going on. I'm not going to come here. I'm not going to take the job here. I'm going to go to some other state, some other place in the world. I may not bring my kids here at all. And these are things you got to consider because this is the backlash you're going to have in the very near future. I'd like to see audits done. I'd like to see get down to tax what is the people who have been running things backwards and wrong. The system, the good old boys don't work anymore. You got new people from all over the country, but all over the world coming here now. And you have to be accountable for what you're doing. You can't run things like business was normal. You have inefficiencies, you want things to go good in this county, start at a management level. Think of it as a manager. How would you handle this? And think about fair. When I was a manager, I had 3,000 people work under me at some times. And the point was I was fair to my people. I trained them well. I didn't have to turn around and be a hard ass or anything, excuse the language. But I didn't have to do that. I worked with them. I found out that they will work with you. They did marvelous things, even though they weren't supposed to. You know, hourly wage people, so not supposed to have any abilities. They do. You have to give them the chance. You have to train them. And I did that very often. You got great results for that. So the point is, I like to see something done about you finally sitting down and saying, this is what we are and this is what we're not. And find out this is where we can go, where we can't go. And if I'm working and trying to put Band-Aids on a system that's, isn't working, then you're going to have to sit down and straighten it out so that you have a foundation in the future to build on. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sherry Yuschak of 224 Walker Grove Lane in Lillington. I'm a fairly new citizen to this county. I'm not really been involved in politics, but I've just been trying to learn more about what's going on in this county. I want to make this a long-term home for myself. But I'm dismayed about a lot of the things that I'm learning. And so there's just a few things that I wanted to talk about tonight and appreciate you all listening to. One of the things that I learned tonight is I didn't realize that we don't have body cams and dash cams. That's just, I don't even understand how that can be a thing in the year 2024. So we're talking about other stuff on this budget and I see public safety and I just don't know how that doesn't fit into that large number. So that's definitely a concern of mine, that something happens and then there's no data. It's just he said, she said, and we just shouldn't be there in 2025. The technology exists. The other thing is that I also agree that two shelter attendees are definitely needed. It's wonderful to have another animal control officer, but where are those animals going to go when they're picked up? We might as well just euthanize them right there, right? And that's not what citizens want. If you see the people here talking about the animals, if you just walked around the community and asked people what they thought about animals and what they expected an animal shelter to do and to be there for, the community expects those animals to have a safe place to go. We expect and should provide for the people who are caring for these animals. We have to respect them. And when their job is so diverse and so difficult, and we just say, sorry, can't help you, you'll have to find more volunteers, we're not supporting them. When we have overcrowding and people are working such long hours and so stressed and fatigued, we aren't able to provide good care for these animals. These animals will then be suffering in our care, and their mental health will go down as well. And then you have animals that aren't adopted. Again, we might as well just euthanize them. But if you look at what communities want, they don't want kill shelters. People don't want to fund kill shelters. They want shelters to be there and make these animals well enough to go back out into the community. So this isn't an animal issue. This is a human issue. This is a societal issue, and it requires and deserves a lot of thought, as well as respecting the people who are working there. So I am here to request that 2 shelter attendees be funded so that we can help the shelter workers out, improve our community, make safer animals, make safer working conditions for the people who are there, and meet the needs of what citizens actually want, which is a shelter where animals are safe to go. The other thing that I have a big concern about, I don't have children, not planning to have children, but I know as a community member how important it is to have high quality schools. We are getting so many rooftops in this area, it's unbelievable. And I'm concerned about where these children are going to go to school. The ratings for school performance in this county are shockingly abysmal. We have people not wanting to come into professions. They don't want to move here because they don't want their children to go to school here. So we're losing economic income because we don't have all we have are houses, and we don't have commercial entities coming in because then they're not going to be able to get employees to work for them. For instance, not being able to get doctors hired in the area. Why would they come here when the school system is so underperforming? So I feel like that we really do, I heard other people talk about, like, where did the number even come up for of what was allocated in the budget for school funding? It is so below what the people actually in the field are saying that they need to make that shortfall. We can't retain teachers. Teachers don't want to come here to fill the vacancies that we have. What is that doing to our children? Children are the future. They are also what our schools allow businesses to come here. If we don't have a tax base, we can't fund our schools, and we get in this vicious funding issue of not being able to pay our teachers. Then we can't hire new teachers. We can't retain the teachers we have. We aren't using qualified teachers, and our school ratings continue to go down, and people don't want to move to the area, or worse yet, businesses don't want to come to the area. So I definitely think that's another area that needs to be considered, that there are formulas and data that can be used to find out how much money we need to be providing our schools. How many attendees at the shelter do we need? Is any data being collected, or is we just kind of deciding yay or nay? So those are my concerns. Same thing with the dash cams and body cams. I just think that we need to be looking at the data. We need to think about this hard, not just sort of what seems like a good idea for the day. So I really encourage all of you to consider what everybody is saying here tonight as concerned citizens. So thank you for I almost said thank you for your service, but I'm not going to use that word. So thank you for being up here. I learned a little bit about that tonight too. So thank you for being up here and listening to us.
I hope I'm the last one. Larry Mitchell, 478 Century Drive in Lexington Plantation in Cameron. I spent the last weekend looking at the FY 24-25 budget that's on the website. It's an instrument of information, and it surely is very easily read, and it's organized well. I commend whoever put that budget together in that format. It's easy for us seniors to read it. I looked at the organization chart on the first couple pages. It's 228 pages, this budget. And the organization chart was very interesting to me. It shows who's up in the top center, and that's the county manager. And everything branches out from the county manager, and that shows how important the budget is and the county manager. So the seat arrangement here needs to change. So I'm saying that the budget is a well-organized instrument and easily to read. I agree with most of the cost of revenues and expenditures. I came from Prince George County, Virginia, about a year and a half ago, and I attended every one of their meetings on the budget. It's different everywhere you go. I'm a retired Army retiree. I'm also a DOD employee that's retired. And I've been to a lot of counties, and I've seen a lot of supervisors and commissioners work on their budgets, and it's different everywhere you go. I do commend the budget outcome, and it's available for all citizens to read. Also, a lot of information today on the Sheriff's Department, and we need to look at that. When I was at Prince George County, the police chief was at every meeting that the citizens came up to talk. They were in the background, the fire chief and the police chief was there. I think you need to consider that so that citizens can talk to them. Right now, there's a barrier between the citizens here and the Sheriff's Department. I don't have all the information the citizens are going through, but listening to some of the comments tonight is disturbing. Also, as a retiree, I try to volunteer a lot of services. I've been doing litter pickup lately. Also went to the animal shelter twice and filled out applications, but no words from them either. So there's a lot of talk about the animal shelters. So I'm trying to get more seniors from District 1 to come to the meetings, and I'm working on that. There's some very interested, and I might give them transportation to get here. Again, I want to keep it short. I approved the budget and how it's organized and presented to the citizens of Harnett County. Thank you very much.
All right, is there anyone who has not spoken?
One more.
Both of you, come on. One of you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm Goldie Pryor. I'm from Stewart's Creek, 1503 McLean Chapel Church Road, Bun Level. There's a couple things I'd like to point out, try not to rehash some things, but just, okay. I'm looking at the total budget, and 53 million goes to public safety, and that's more than any other group in the county. So we need to look at that, the number of people that work in that division, the number of people in the school system and other branches of the county, and how much goes to them, especially as a former educator, to the teachers and the children. If it wasn't for the children, there would not be an education system. They need the very best. The scores for the county have been very disappointing. So we need to look at that. We need to rethink how we use the money, collaborate with each other. We have colleges and community colleges and different systems in the county, and they do certain things. Use them. So, the expenses won't be so high. I know we do collaborate with a lot of them in a lot of different ways, but rethink and use them more. And living in Stewart's Creek, Parks and Rec. Several years ago, went to a Parks and Rec meeting, and I was told by the county manager then, who's gone now, we needed one. Something directly in that area. And that particular person said, well, somebody needs to donate you all some land, and you have I think Anderson Creek Park must be included in Stewart's Creek or something, and he mentioned that one. And I visited. It was pitiful. When we go to parks and stuff, we generally go to Cumberland or Johnston or Wake. We have family there when we have activities. But we don't have anything, really don't have anything nice as some of the things I've seen there. We do need to invest in that or look at these small areas. I hear a lot about the drugs and the criminal things that go on in Stewart's Creek. But in order to get the kids out of some of those things, they got to have somewhere to have some positive things going on. The seniors in that area, which I am one now. So those things, other things. Yes, most families have pets, and there are a lot of dogs running up and down the road causing accidents, and cats and things. You feel horrible when that happens, even if you're involved in that. We need to take care of some of the animals too, and the spade thing that I see up sometimes where they only spend $5. I think that's great. We need to take care of these things. Let's see, a few other things. Oh, now I look at a lot of things with government grants, and as a county, you know, the county can get government grants on a lot of different things, from health, education, drugs, all kinds of training and all these things. We need a super grant writer here so that we can get some of this government money that we're paying taxes to. And health. You know, Harnett County, you know, the health of a lot of our citizens, including me, is not the best. We need places where we can go and within a short distance, going 20, 25 miles, and that's not good. But I know we have some things, but they need to be spread out to some of our rural areas, since I'm in a rural area, and to me, it's like nothing there. I grew up, and the only thing that happened in that 66 years was Dollar General came to town, and that was it. But, you know, we need to bring citizens in a little, and you do. You started doing some things that I haven't been able to participate in, but I've seen some good things that are happening where you're having different parts of the county government having talks and stuff. But that's good. Just expand it and you know, make it super public so people can hear about it. We're doing some good things. Got a long way to go. And those are some main things I just want to mention.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, my name's Monica DeAngelis. I live at 652 Old Stage Road North in Coates. And what have we learned today? We need to stop funding Wayne Coates and give his money to the schools and hire 2 people in the animal control. But I want to talk about a couple other things that never got mentioned, and one of them is that we have a severe homeless crisis going on in Harnett County too. And some money must be put aside for public housing. We need public housing for at least 1,000 people. And a lot of this is due. Now, these people are not all, you know, drug addicts and all that. They are not all just out there doing nothing with their lives. They are hardworking, independent people. We have a second problem that has been going on for many decades now. If the minimum wage had been raised from 1990s, from $7.25, and kept up with inflation, it would be at $25 today. The minimum wage would be $25. How many times do you post an ad for a job where you expect a person to be college educated, like a teacher, but you will not even pay that person $20 an hour? Think about that. $25 an hour should be the minimum wage. I remember way back when Charlotte it was. They voted to raise the minimum wage to $9 an hour. Our state government retaliated by saying only the state can raise the minimum wage, which is why it's not been raised anywhere. And anyway, it's those two things. We must do something about the homelessness, and we must start raising the minimum, not that we can't raise the minimum wage, but we need to do stuff. You can raise the wage for the people that you hire. You can start there. And you can encourage people to hire at least $25 an hour. And when you do that, guess what happens to homelessness? Poof. And how much are you going to have to spend on food stamps? How much are you going to have to spend on things like gas payments for, or transportation payments? Think about that. All you need to do is keep up with inflation. Thank you.
Can I make one more comment? We're only allowed to speak one time. Sorry. Okay. Anybody else? All right, sound of the gavel. Did you say something, Mr. Papel? Sound of the gavel, the public hearing will be closed. All right, we'll move on to item number 7, discuss the revised nonprofit committee bylaws, policies, and funding.
Mr. Chairman, based on comments we heard earlier tonight, specifically from Mr. Langley regarding consideration of a public-private discussion with regard to our nonprofit funding, I would make a motion we table this matter until our work session. I believe that's next Tuesday. I'm not sure about the date of that, but.
Second that. Okay, motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Manager, your report, please.
Thank you, Chairman. The only item I have is that please, commissioners, be watching your email. You'll be receiving an email from our Human Resource Director regarding the personnel ordinance. It's time for renewal. It's been a number of years since we've looked at that document. We've had many changes that have occurred in regards to processes and also things that have been brought to my attention since I've been here that need to be addressed. You'll receive a red line version and also a cleaned up version, and then also a Cliff Notes that will tell you the basic items. If you'd like a printed copy, please let me know and we can prepare that for you and get that to you. We will consider the first look at that at our work session, May 28th, and then depending on your view of it or the changes, we can decide at what point we want to take action. I need approval of our budget amendments as requested by the finance officer.
Is there a motion to approve the budget amendments?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Chair will second. All those, okay. Thank you, Madam Gentlelady. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll also make a motion to approve the tax rebates, refunds, and releases as requested by the tax administrator.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. Is there any new business to come before the body? Okay. Mr. Counselor, you understand there's a need for a closed session for a legal matter?
Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Weatherspoon, would you read that, please?
Yeah, I move that the board go into closed session to consult with legal counsel in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege concerning the handling of certain litigation, including the following case. Kenneth Kelly versus Harnett County, North Carolina Industrial Commission, file number 23-031711. This motion is being made pursuant to North Carolina General Statute, Section 143-318.11A3.
Second.
Motion has been made, properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Y'all want to wait? We're going into closed session. We'll be back in a few minutes. Motion has been made, properly seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.